What's a fact you thought was true for years, but later found out was false? My parents always referred to a really good parking spot as a glory hole. It was not until I started college and exclaimed to my friends that I had found the perfect glory hole in the Chipotle parking lot that I realized that my parents' usage of the term was very wrong. My dad told me that the stripes on the sides of the road, the ones that make a sound when you ride on them, exist so that the blind people can drive without going off the road. We were kids and believed it for some time. That a penny could kill someone if dropped off the Empire State Building. I was in the UK Army, 16 years old, when they still did junior leaders, and was told during a driving theory lesson that we should never try to steal army diesel because they could test your fuel at any time, and if they found you stealing they could send you to prison. They could tell because under a microscope the diesel would have tiny arrows in it. Years later I'd left the army and, having never really doubted it, but TBH never really thinking about, I was telling someone at work when it suddenly dawned on me how ridiculous that was. I just accepted it was a fact for well over 20 years. Edit. Thank you for all the responses. I didn't think my embarrassing story would get so much attention. My mom told me that the paws of dogs never grow, and they are born with the size they'll have. A few years later, after I embarrassed myself with that fact in front of my friends a few times, I asked her again and apparently I got it wrong. The paws are an indicator for the size the dog will reach later, but obviously they do grow. Imagine how ridiculous it would look, a pup with huge paws. When me and my sister were kids, she refused to eat cabbage. So one mealtime, our nana told her the cabbage wasn't cabbage, it was a special vegetable called sponduli that had been imported from South Africa. She ate this magical veg and loved it, and the name stuck as a result. Fast forward 10 years, 14-year-old sister is told at the dinner table that sponduli is really just cabbage, and she bursts into tears, saying, "I've told all my friends about it for years. Just found this out 5 seconds ago. Your eyeballs grow. I thought your eyeballs stayed the same size your entire life, and that's why babies appear to have such large eyes in proportion to the rest of their body." In the early 2000s my dad told me Bobby Flay, who I loved, died. I believed it until I saw him on TV maybe 3 to 4 years ago. I called my dad and told him I couldn't believe it. I thought he must have faked his death. Turns out my dad lied to me because apparently he wanted to watch something other than Bobby Flay in TV that day. My dad used to say Jenna Fisher, Pam from The Office, was Carrie Fisher's daughter, Princess Leia from Star Wars. So I thought it was true and shared that info with a few friends. Stupid me didn't think to look it up, and when I finally did I told my dad the truth. Of course he doesn't remember ever telling me this. This is a conversation between my friend and his GF in college. GF, how do they know where to put gas stations? Friend, I assume they do market research to see how much need there is for another gas station in the area. GF, no, I mean how do they know there will be gas on the corner where they build the station? Friend, they truck in the gas line with tankers. GF, oh. When I was 7 I touched a bare electric line, received a shock, went crying to my mom. She was preparing dinner at the time, making a salad. She gave me some lettuce, said it would make a shock go away. I didn't eat lettuce, but it was worth making the pain go away. The pain subsided, as it would have regardless. So I believed her about the lettuce. Years later, mom overheard me telling a friend about lettuce being a cure for electric shocks, and confessed that she'd made it up. I thought toilets really did spin the other way when you cross the equator. Always thought Sweeney Todd was real. Turns out it was just 19th century pulp fiction. My grandmother told me when I was little that if I didn't have enough money at the checkout they would throw me in jail immediately. I was scared of that until I became a teen. That driving with the overhead light in your car on is illegal. That chewing gum took 7 years to digest. That the hymen covers the vagina and has to be broken the first time you have sex. I was so scared I would literally be ripped open the first time I did it, and was pleasantly surprised when that was not the case. You know when you fidget/bounce your leg when you're anxious or bored. My mom always told me that was called ponting. For years I told people it was called ponting and was always surprised no one else ever called it that. Until I googled it one day and found out the word doesn't exist. My mom either made it up or was using a fake term herself. I think it's a good word, though. Bats are not blind. They have eyes and can see. Also they have an excellent night vision. My one earlobe is a little smaller than the other. My dad told me he bit it off accidentally when I was a baby, and I believed it for about 15 years. That prosecuted did not mean the same thing as electrocuted. When I was little I would see signs that said no dumping. Violators will be prosecuted, and think that punishment was very harsh for littering. The different sections of our tongue detects different tastes. My growth slowed pretty early on, and I was obviously upset about that. My mom noticed and told me that you grow a little bit with each hiccup, probably to give me hope. From that day, whenever I would start hiccuping I would try to do everything in my power to keep hiccuping, just so I could grow a little taller. I believed that until I was 15. That the Arctic was named because there are polar bears there, from the Greek word for bear, Arctus, and that the Antarctic was named because there are no polar bears there. Not me, but I met multiple people from France who didn't believe in yellow school buses. Apparently, everybody in France believe they only exist in American movies, not in real life. Marilyn Manson got his rib removed so he could suck his own dick. Not so much a fact, but until a year ago I thought cow tipping was a real activity. Turns out cows sleep laying down, and it would take at least 4 people to actually tip, assuming you could sneak up on them. That if a person was sentenced to prison for 150 years their body stayed in the cell even after death until the time was served. When I was younger, my brother, 4 years older, and I played Mario Party 7 all the time. It was a big deal. There was one week a year though, where we celebrated Bowser and the Koopa Kids, and we had to play the Bowser game board every day that week, and do Bowser/evil themed things, and put up decorations all over the house to celebrate him. This was called Bowser Week. Sometimes I'd ask him, when Bowser Week is this year, because I thought the dates changed every year like how the date for Easter there is each year, so only my brother knew when it was. One day I asked him when it was, so I could prepare, and he said what? And I said what day does Bowser Week start this year? And he started laughing and told me it wasn't real, and I was absolutely crushed and confused. I still don't quite understand. I'm 18. I assumed that you no longer ejaculated after a vasectomy. I understood that there is no loss of sensation or decrease in orgasm, but I thought you just came without *cumming*. I'm 47 years old. I believed that thunder was the sound of clouds hitting each other. My roommates told me otherwise just a few days before college graduation when there was some thunder on a cloudless day. Mom swears she doesn't know where I got that idea. That if you put a fallen baby bird back in its nest the mother will abandon it because you touched it. Not true. If you ever find one and have the ability to, by all means put it back. Edit. I agree with the posts below. Use good judgment when deciding to put it back in the nest. My main point was that the mother won't abandon it because you touched it. That Morgan Freeman married his adopted daughter I found out much later that it was Woody Allen. So if he came up in conversation I'd mention it, and many times nobody in the conversation googled it. Sorry Morgan for the years of misguided slander. My friends and I convinced my now wife that Bob Ross filmed his painting shows from prison, where he had a life sentence for killing his D in the army barehanded, to the point where she was spreading it to others as fact. She was so pissed when we finally told her that you can't begin a sentence with a conjunction. If you pee in a pool it would show red because they put a special chemical in it. Eating carrots helps you have better vision at night. That humans only use 10% of our brains, and if we could unlock the rest, we'd have godlike superpowers. Blood is blue inside your body and turns red when exposed to oxygen. Edit. I'm sorry to say I taught this to my grade school students at one time. I remember learning it in junior high science. And I guess I never took a class that specifically discussed the color of blood, and I taught it my first year of teaching. I've always felt awful about that, but now I will take consolation from the fact that by posting this, I've corrected this misconception in more people than I spread it to. I believed when my grandma told me I was the most handsome looking boy in the world. Read a post like this on another site and my husband and I still laugh at this answer. For all of this woman's life, she thought we were called human *BEANS. Asterisk she was 25 before she learned it was *BEINGS. Asterisk to this day we will randomly tell each other you are a wonderful human being. I thought abandoned silos were called ISOs. When I was a little kid I asked my mom what it was and she replied with an eyesore. I took her at her word and thought any sort of old silo or water tower was called an eyesore. It took me until I was 16 to realize it was in fact not called an eyesore. I once heard a lady on the radio phone in to describe how, when she was young, her mum told her that similarly to bees making honey, wasps make jam. Different flavors of jam was made when wasps went to the different plants. Egg raspberry jam, if they'd been to raspberry flowers. She said she only found that the only purpose of a wasp is to piss off humans when she was 27. Make sure to like and subscribe for more daily content. Thanks for watching.